Imagine this for a second. Every time a rocket blasts off into space, it carries a little piece of ancient Rome with it. Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. The size of modern space rockets is linked to the width of Roman chariots. Yep, the technology that takes us to the stars owes something to an empire that collapsed over 1,500 years ago. Today, we're going to uncover one of the most fascinating stories of how history quietly shapes the future. Welcome to Digital Scrolls, the channel that unrolls the story of civilization, one scroll at a time. Here, we dig into the hidden connections between the past and the present, and sometimes even the future. If you love stories that make you say, "Wow, I never knew that," then hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey through time and technology. Space exploration feels like the ultimate symbol of progress, right? Rockets, satellites, astronauts. It's all cutting-edge science. But here's the thing. History leaves footprints everywhere. Standards, those boring measurements we never think about, shape the world in ways we rarely notice. And sometimes, they reach all the way to space. This is the story of how a simple decision in ancient Rome created a domino effect that still influences modern engineering. The Roman Empire was an engineering powerhouse. They built aqueducts that carried water across valleys, arches that held up massive structures, concrete that made buildings last for centuries, and bridges that connected distant lands. And then there were the roads. Over 400,000 kilometers of them stretched across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. These roads weren't random, they were standardized. Why? To accommodate chariots and carts. The typical Roman chariot had an axle width of about 4 feet 8.5 inches, which is 1.45 meters. This is similar to the width of modern standard office desk. That wasn't just a guess. 2 horses side by side needed that space for balance and efficiency. Over time, this became the default width for Roman vehicles. And when you build thousands of miles of roads for that size, you lock in a standard. Think about that. A measurement chosen for horse comfort became the backbone of an empire's infrastructure. Now, fast forward to the Industrial Revolution. Britain's engineers were building railways to move coal and goods. But what did they use for early rail cars? Horse-drawn wagons. And those wagons were built to the same width as the roads they traveled on, because that was the standard for wheels and axles. So railway tracks adopted the same gauge. 4 feet, 8.5 inches. This became known as the standard gauge. It spread across Europe, then the world. Why change something that works? By now, this measurement wasn't just tradition. It was infrastructure. Bridges, tunnels, and stations were all designed around it. Changing it would mean rebuilding everything. So, the Roman standard lived on, quietly shaping the modern world. Jump ahead to the 20th century. NASA and other space agencies start building rockets. But here's the challenge. How do you move massive rocket parts from factories to launch sites? The answer? By train. And those trains? They run on tracks with the same standard gauge, 4 feet 8.5 inches. That means rocket components have to fit through tunnels and bridges designed for that gauge. Suddenly, a decision made by Roman engineers centuries ago is shaping the size of space hardware. Engineers call this path dependence. Once a standard is set, it's almost impossible to change because everything else depends on it. The most famous example? The Space Shuttle's solid rocket boosters, or SRBs. They were built in Utah and shipped by rail to Florida. Their diameter was limited by the width of railway tunnels, ultimately dictated by Roman chariot wheels. So, in a way, the design of a spacecraft was influenced by decisions made by Roman engineers nearly 2,000 years ago. Think about that. The path to the stars runs through ancient roads. This story isn't just about rockets. It's about how standards endure. From paper sizes to electrical plugs, history shapes technology in ways we rarely notice. Sometimes progress isn't about breaking free from the past. It's about building on it. So next time you see a rocket launch, remember, it's not just science and engineering. It's history, riding along for the journey. What other ancient standards do you think influence modern life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through time and technology, subscribe to Digital Scrolls for more stories that connect the past to the future. Thank you for watching my video.